This conference will now be recorded.
Meeting. Kelly, would you like to call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner Hutchins?
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy? Here. Vice Mayor Claus?
Here.
And Mayor Pugh?
Here.
And Commissioner Ayala?
I'm here.
Okay.
Good deal. Okay, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have the agenda in front of you, and I would like to make a call that we take number 12 and move it to the regular agenda item.
Can we put it with 18? Because they're the,
Did you read my notes?
oh, so no, it wasn't.
Yeah, I was gonna move 18 up to be with 12. So that, if you add them together, it's 20. Or 30. So that'll be number 12. Anybody else have any changes or deletions?
Yes, please. I would just like to make a couple comments during commissioner comments.
Okay.
I mean, one's about a meeting that Lynn and I had with the county on Friday, and the other is just a question about the fire department contract.
Okay, so you'll be 25. What do you want to do when you're doing your code enforcement?
Can do. That's
Yeah,
fine.
why don't you do that?
All
Let's do that as an
Okay.
A, B, C thing.
Okay.
All right. Is there any other changes or additions and deletions to the agenda? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I need to know who made a first and a second.
Sorry,
I need to know who made the first and the second.
who made the second? Dave, I think Dave made the second.
I second.
Could we discuss this, by the way, because what were the 3 versions of this? If we're gonna come to the meeting and there's a final version, I think it should be printed out and put on our desks. Because I'm using a version, I guess, that's too old.
That was my suggestion before, that perhaps we all get to see the agenda before it's published in the first place, because that's where the questions arose.
Right,
People
as long
like
as I
to add
have the
things.
final agenda, I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here with my numbers not matching what you're discussing. Thanks.
All right, so we're good on the agenda as it stands now.
One more comment on the consent agenda? Or-
That's consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay, now we're moving on to the public comment. We haven't got the consent agenda yet. All right, public comment. Stella, thank you for a wonderful party, by the way, for Light the Lights. Really appreciate what you did for the town.
Welcome. Stella Public.
You take it out, Stella.
204 Beachway. The reason I got up tonight is because, first of all, I wanted to commend the chief for making Deborah's position on community policing a definitely final thing. She is fabulous. I've seen so many reports that I've talked to her about, of people commenting how great she is, coming to see you, coming to see everyone in the hospital. I mean, she really deserves credit for that, and you deserve credit. So I just wanted to bring that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Way to go, Chief.
I also would like to congratulate her, but as long as I went out to Nelapam the other day, and it appears that they have gathered about 6 to 12 feet of more beachfront by not pumping regularly what they should be pumping, Ocean Ridge. Can one town sue another town? No, I really think, if you look where the pumping station is, it's high and dry. It used to be in the water. And they were supposed to pump, you remember this, don't you? X number of gallons of sand.
Well, there's a stick out in the sand in the
What?
ocean, just north, just south of the inlet, and about 20 feet of water is a stick in the sand, and that has a mark on it to where the sand's supposed to be. So I don't know if anybody's checked that in a long time.
Well, I was surprised at how much reach they had and how much, and I think maybe we ought to start checking it. And I don't want to start a fight with the county next door, but you know, advising them that you need to start putting more sand.
Thanks, Betty. For the record, that's Betty Bingman. Carol?
Good evening, everyone. Carol Bassler, 5906 Old Ocean Boulevard. I'm here tonight representing Starbright. In light of some of the recent happenings in our town, namely the tragic drownings, migrant landings, phone scams, the town residents have been buzzing their concerns as well as some solutions. Many of these have fallen on the ears of our Starbright members. To that end, we have been discussing ways to make our community safer with the chief. He, along with our technology expert, Janet Shines, have discussed many possible solutions, such as sponsoring a session on scams, signage on the entrance to the public beaches, educating the public on the dangers of riptides, installation of more cameras that can pick up intruders entering by any other means than car, because we already have our license plate recognition cameras that recognizes cars coming over. And the purchase of a drone, which would not only help with picking up the bad guys, but could also help during hurricanes to spot flooding, help residents, check on properties and road conditions. They can check on migrant landings, get the information out quicker, and the swimmers who went missing, etc. The use cases are endless to protect our town and residents. And like the unexpected happenings that have happened in our town, they've not really been budgeted for. I'm here to let the commissioners know that Starbright has secured a $20,000 matching donation for the explicit use of improving public safety. I'm sure the chief, when he's ready, will put together a presentation on the best use of our funds. It's now the job of Starbright to organize the contributions so that we can turn the $20,000 into $40,000. And if interested, people can bring their tax deductible end of the year donation to Town Hall made out to Starbright. We'll also be holding a fundraiser for public safety use in the spring, and all monies collected will be earmarked for improved public safety in our town. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much. You working on that, Chief?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, I'm Patricia from 5510 North Ocean Boulevard. I heard that the county sheriff's office comes out to residents and puts on a little lecture about being scammed, the different ways of being scammed, and I wonder if you can all have that offer to the Ocean Ridge residents. A friend of mine lives west, and they said they came to their clubhouse and spoke to them about it. But I was just sitting here thinking that maybe we could invite them and have a night for Ocean Ridge residents to hear the different ways being scammed. I think it's free, and I think it's from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Chief.
We have put out several civic readies. I've spoken to Brian, I've spoken here. We have something planned for the future for the residents.
Oh, good.
There's numerous scams I'm gonna talk about tonight. I'm speaking at Ocean Walk in February. If you want me to speak to a specific group, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, I'll ask my board to invite you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? All right, closing public comment. Let's move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Can I ask a question? On number 10, the October revenue expenditure report, again, interest earned is 0. And, you know, this has come up month after month, and Lynn's explained it, that it's a timing thing. If you don't put it in, don't put it in by the 30, I don't know what, anyway, maybe you can explain that, Lynn, but every month it comes up as 0. And
No,
interest earned.
year to date,
month of November.
Because we've only got the October in there because packets go out before the end of the month. So we don't have the interest statement until the first of the next month. So the November interest, we did not get that statement until December 1st, but the packets had already gone out.
But that has never been the explanation before. So can't we run those numbers on the 1st?
Yeah, we would never meet on the first, then why can't we just run it after
Well,
the
if you,
numbers are in?
if you would like to have the revenue report just handed to you at the meeting, we can do that. But in order for the report to be in the packet, it has to be a month behind.
I'd just like it to be accurate, and it's not accurate the way it is, so.
Well, it is because this is an October report, but
The interest is earned during the month, then, so it's not accurate.
The November number
Wait,
is
hold on,
zero.
hold on. Why don't we move this out of the consent agenda and you can put it on your report and then we can review it then. How's that?
I will just start handing out the revenue report at the meeting so that everything is current as of that meeting. That way it won't be in the packet, but it will be available on the dais at the meeting.
Well, how about doing this? How about leaving it in the packet and just give us the addendum at the time of the meeting of this is what the interest rate is. Money interest.
Interest income.
How's
We're
that?
only talking about one number here.
Yeah,
Right,
that's what I'm
so
saying.
there's no
Just-
sense creating this.
don't create it
Yeah.
yet. Leave it there and just give us the addendum
Okay.
at the night of the meeting. Does that suffice, Carolyn?
Sure.
All right, so is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I move we accept the consent agenda as published, noting that did we move number 12 into regular?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be approving items 6 through 11.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to regular agenda items. Emergency change order for North Ocean Boulevard project. Lisa, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Lisa Tropepi, I'm your town engineer, and it's good to see all of you again. The last time that we met, I gave you a status of the water project, and so we're here again. Let me just say who else I'm here with. From my office is Gabby, who was the project manager. Raise your hand, Gabby. And from Foster Marine, who's the prime contractor on the job for the water main project, is Gary Tchaikovsky. You remember him?
Mm-hmm.
From 20 years ago, he installed the stormwater system for the entire South Phase project, both for Woolbright and for Tropical.
Yeah, his beard wasn't gray then.
Well, we all were in gray.
It's 20 years ago.
He did a great job on that grade.
Yeah, and Max is with him as well. So if you have any questions that I can't answer, they're here too.
Okay.
So at the last meeting, you asked me to do a couple things. One is I had given you a map of the 8-year capital plan. I hope you have it saved. What I was asked to do is to go through each phase and as best we could, give a cost estimate, a total cost estimate, which is soft costs and hard costs, okay, which includes surveying, subsurface utility, engineering, legal, and also the construction costs. So I put on your chairs there, the breakdown by phase, and it matches the 8-year capital plan that I gave you at the last meeting. So, just a few things to note. The total came out to approximately $38 million for this 8-year project. Also, if you look at the column that says engineering, legal, and administrative, that's 25% of the construction costs. Now, I'm saying this because that's a pretty typical percentage, 25%, because when you do huge construction projects and it trips over the procurement requirements, and Christy can go over this at another time, you have to go out for an engineer. So you have to go through that process. And then you have to go out again for the construction. I think the threshold's $7 million. Like the construction project's $7 million, $1, then you have to go out for a consulting engineer. So I don't know all the technical aspects. Every year the legislation changes, the dollar amounts change based on inflation. And so that column is a pretty hefty column. We've been fortunate that we've been doing all of this like in-house, and it's cut back on costs tremendously. So that's part of that 38 million. The other thing was you had asked us to move forward with Inlet K. And we have the plans. The surveying plans are complete now. So the next step is for us to do the engineering so that we can move it along and have Foster Marine give us a cost within the guidelines of procurement to see how far we can go on Inlet K Drive. So that's in the works. So those were the things that you asked me to do at the last meeting. So
do you have an electronic version of what you were just talking about, the $38 million?
I probably do in my phone, and I'm standing at the dais. So if I can.
It's not urgent. I don't need it this minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner. I didn't know you weren't going to be present, but I'll get it to you absolutely. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So here's the great news. Okay. There's over 3,600 linear feet of water main installed. And I'm happy to say that everyone now is hooked up to this main. So we have a lot to be thankful for. It didn't come easy, and I'm going to tell you just a couple of things why it didn't come easy, but we haven't totally disconnected off the old line, but we're pretty close. Probably around 95% complete in construction.
On our
Yeah.
3,600 linear feet.
Yeah.
On our original project.
Which is the A1 pipe.
Yeah.
A1A.
A1A pipe, correct. All A1A from Inlet K all the way to the north end. So let me just explain a little bit about the old pipe so you understand a little more, because I understand a lot more than I did before. This pipe was not a good pipe. 6-inch pipe, probably over 70 years old. It did not have the capability for fire flow, and this is why the commission, thank God, was proactive and said, we've got to take care of this issue first. It was a fire flow issue. We didn't realize, or maybe I didn't realize, how fragile this pipe is and how poorly the condition it was in. So what has happened during construction is that we've had many breaks, and I know you've seen it in Civic Ready. There's a break, there's a break, there's a break. Okay? That you don't put on an engineering plan. We had no idea that we were going to have so many breaks. So those breaks need to be repaired. The asphalt need to be patched. There's a lot involved every time you have a break. We're just so happy to get that pipe out of commission. And we need to do everything we can, in my humble opinion, to get that type of pipe, wherever it is in town, we need to get it out of here. We had no plans. It's got to be over 70 years old, maybe more.
Do we have like a chart of what pipes are older than others?
Well, yes, we do. We do, to the best of our ability. We had no plans. We did the best we could. When the directional driller came here, he had to drill deeper than we had anticipated. And that meant him coming down deep and then coming up and then coming back down and coming back up. That wasn't anticipated either. In some cases, the pipe is now 6 feet deep.
Does that affect flow at all? If it's
No.
changing direction?
No. It just, they had to come up and then come back down, but the pipe is level.
Oh, I see.
But they just.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Thank you for whoever sent me the thing. It's sideways, so I got to turn my head sideways. But I thought that you got them in color coding, right? I thought the red, the 9125, linear footage. I thought those were the top priority
Right.
pipes that we would replace. That's not based on age alone, is it? Or am I wrong? Is it just based on what's oldest?
Well, it's based on a couple things. It's based on age, it's based on pipe type. That red area has a lot of asbestos cement pipe, different than the cast iron, has other issues. That area is in the north end, and we've been experiencing the highest number of breaks in that area.
So I guess what I'm saying is, when we're thinking about what we should focus on, it should be the red, then the orange, then the purple. Not what's oldest, but rather what you guys, because you're smarter than us, what you have categorized as the most important pipes for us to address.
Well, yes, that's correct. It's just not one answer, it's just not one issue. There's a combination of issues, you know?
But we're not gonna do something in phase 7 before we do something that's red, right?
I would not recommend doing anything I would recommend following the phases. And of course, we don't have phase 1 on there because we finished phase 1, and phase 1 was a big one, so we didn't put that on here. So, yeah, so there's different issues, yes. So because they had to go deeper, they had to bring in more fittings. They had to come up and create bigger pits. We had to fix all these breaks. They had to fix them on the dime because not even touching this pipe, okay? It broke over
So
half a
that's my
dozen
question.
times.
I think probably the Marine Forest group needs to answer.
Mhm.
Like, look, the pipe breaks. So you guys rush over there and put in a valve, put in a pipe. Now, when you get to that section of the pipe, does that piece of material just get chucked, or is it now part of the system?
You want to
So
explain
it's
that? Come up here,
yeah,
Jared.
if the pipe cracks, like Lisa said.
He can explain it better
There's
than
some
I can.
occasions where it broke beyond our work zone, okay? If the pipe cracks, most of the time we put a repair clamp around. It's a stainless steel repair clamp. We put it around, it's a Band-Aid. And that's a temporary fix until the new pipe is in service. But like Lisa said, right now, phase 1, all the pipe is in. Every customer has been checked, right, Max? Correct. Everybody is drinking that new water, all the fire protection on the new water main. The only thing we're doing right now is we're trying to figure out where that pipe is fed from other water mains. We knew there was 3 or 4 of them. We've stopped, how many of them?
3. Well,
3.
We stopped 2 so far in the north end.
And right now, we know we gotta do another one, right?
At least 1 more.
1 more. So, nobody's drinking that water, but we gotta get the water to stop flowing into that main. You don't want a pipe that's not being used to be pressurized underneath North Ocean, because it's gonna break again.
So you don't remove the pipe?
No, we ground it full of cement.
You have to be able to use the water.
Yeah.
Right? We can't say no water for all of
No,
you
in fact,
in the
when you
north
put the
end.
new pipe in, the old pipe, you just.
Yeah, the old pipe gets pumped full of concrete.
Yeah.
We don't wanna leave it
So back to my original question, when you're Band-Aiding it, that sounds like a very cheap fix.
The actual cost of the repair clamp is
Is a cost.
$500.
Right, but
The
when
actual-
you mentioned valves and stuff like that, if something breaks and you gotta rush down and put a valve in, when you're, and.
We don't put a valve in. We don't put a valve in.
You know. Okay.
Not for that situation.
No, we don't put a valve in. We have to shut off the water, all right? And we've got assistance during these breaks from the town of Ocean Ridge, the city of Boynton Beach, our people. We shut off the water, we put a repair clamp around the pipe. Sometimes we have to do it under pressure if they can't get the water shut off, all right? But once everybody's off that old water main and on the new water main, which is the case right now, we're just having to shut the water off so it doesn't go into the old water main anymore. We don't want that old water main to be pressurized anymore because there's nobody drinking that water, and eventually it's gonna break again.
Okay.
So we have to shut all the water off. So we're shutting off all those sources. Most of it's coming from the west side of North Ocean right now. We're shutting off all those sources. Some places had valves. If those valves work, we shut them off. We have to take the pipe, we sever it, we put a permanent cap on it. Somebody come back later and turn that valve back on, right? Or we have to put insertion valves in. valves under pressure because the old valves don't work. We did one of those today, we did one yesterday. So we're shutting off all the water that came from the west side of North Ocean to the east side, get that old main depressurized, and then we pump it full of cement, so there's not an empty void.
So we had lines on the west side connected to the east side
Right.
also.
Right. We knew that.
So it's not only we're dealing with the folks on the east side, which we are, but we're correcting the connections that were on the west side. Now everything is connected on the east side, but they had to go to the west side
Yeah,
to make
like-
the disconnect of all of those on the west side.
Okay.
Most of them they knew about, but there's
But
some, well,
some
okay,
of them
well,
we didn't know.
we need to get more water to the east side, to run another 2-inch pipe underneath North Ocean, give it more flow, more flow. Well, in the meantime, I can show you some pictures, not in Ocean Ridge, but I can show you some places where, you see what Riviera Beach is going through right now? Yeah, they're in big trouble, but City of West Palm Beach was like, health department had a strong mandate, took the water plant over. I can show you places where they have an 8-inch pipe that you can't put 3 fingers through. And their pipes are like your pipes, 70s, 80 years old. So.
Well, it's good that we're fixing them. And
Yeah.
we're putting all the money and
Exactly.
we, made
Exactly.
a point.
Exactly.
So let's talk about this change order. Let's
Yes.
go back to that what we're talking
So-
about, the emergency change order, right?
So, okay, so there's a couple things,
Mhm.
Besides, can we put the emergency change order to the side?
Can I
Okay.
explain one more thing?
Yeah,
Then I'll
yeah.
sit- Then I'll sit down.
No, you don't need to,
Okay.
you shouldn't sit
So-
up here with me.
As Lisa explained, the old main is so fragile that when we're directional drilling underneath it, even though that's not the most invasive method, just, by working that close. I mean, there was some of the old pipe we just exposed by hand with a shovel and boom, it just explodes, right? So we have to put the old main deeper. Typically a water main is 3 feet deep,
Right.
all right? No reason to go any deeper. The new main, it doesn't have any influence on how it functions. This pipe that we put in for you guys, I won't be here in 100 years, but I guarantee you it will be. That pipe will last forever.
100+ years.
Yeah.
they
Great.
say, on
Yeah,
that
no,
type of
it's-
pipe.
It's,
Mhm.
yeah, it's.
So that's great.
Well, if it fails.
What is
in 100
it?
years,
What
we
is
do
it?
after.
Polyethylene.
Yeah, so we have to put it like 6 feet deep in some cases because we wanted to stay away from that old water main. Which meant now when we have to dig down to it after it's installed, we put the whole pipe in and then we come back after it's pressure tested. And we dig down to the pipe and we make a connection to tie in that customer. Every customer, we have to go dig down and dig to that pipe. Well, since it's deeper, we need more fittings to get it back up to the proper depth. Right?
So we're looking at probably about a 6% increase
Yeah, I don't know.
6% of what,
of
2.3?
the 2.4 at the, right now.
Something
Is that the
like-
45,000?
No,
That's like 120,000.
no, that's, we need to explain.
The two
That.
pieces, the 101,000 and the 45,000.
So it's gonna be right now, we're looking at approximately 6%, a 6% increase because of the fittings and the fact that they had to go deeper and pop back up and come back down.
And then I think we have some money in there. I need
So-
Brady over here to help.
So this is,
So this is the authorization of additional funding for
So
the
let's-
new
so-
necessary field.
so we haven't talked about that yet. So that's for valves.
Isn't it the same thing?
No,
That's what I would.
6% times.
So,
look at
all right.
it, I can't see what you're looking at.
It's 144,000.
about 144,000.
6% of the contracted price, Mr.
Yeah.
Treasurer.
Okay.
That's an estimate right now. We haven't finished all our numbers. That does not include, and I told you guys this the last time, FDOT has come in and said, we have to do additional asphalt.
We as in
we,
us,
yeah,
or we
us.
as in FDOT?
Well, because there were so many breaks and so many patches, they're asking us to go above and beyond what our engineering plan showed. Okay,
No,
so
why would we do that? The state
I
of
know,
Florida
well-
owns the state road.
Right. So that's one thing.
I'm not doing that.
It's happened before. It's happened to me before.
But you have
They have a
a,
set of drawings, they
Yeah.
approve them,
right?
right?
Utah.
And then they come in and say, we don't care what we approved. Over here, they wanted extra base rock, right? So we put that in. Then they wanted the asphalt to go from 1.5 inches to 4 inches. They wanted to match the existing. And,
So when we designed the plan, we designed what's minimal per their requirements. We did not over-design any asphalt. And they came back and said,
they approved it.
they approved
your
it,
permit.
and they sat over here at the pre-construction meeting and didn't say a word.
Okay, so we're all approved. So what is the point in bringing up, doing us extra milling work?
Because
It's
that's,
not extra. I don't think it's extra milling work. Is it?
No, it's what's required now.
it's what's required.
I guess the
now.
question is, what is the emergency change order?
Okay, so,
Find it.
okay, that's the valves. That's the emergency change order for 45,000. Has to do with the valves, exercising the valves.
Yeah.
We'll put
Two of
insertion
them-
valves in.
Well, 2 of them are broken, and we did not know that.
So is this
Two existing valves
2
are
existing
broken.
valves are broken.
that aren't
right?
part of the project?
Right.
So this
They're
is
not
a
part of the project.
$90,000 change order, is that what I'm hearing?
No,
45.
45.
I thought it was 45 for each, no?
No.
No,
Total.
Can
so,
be. Can be.
Okay, and the $144,000 is for the major project,
No, the 101.
the
Well,
140.
let Lisa explain it. And
So-
please,
I'm sorry. So we're looking at about a 6% overrun for the original project, okay? And that's because we had to go deeper, we needed more valves.
okay, we get that.
We
Now,
had
is that the
right?
directive or is that part of the change
No,
order?
I'm just, this is.
Because you're just giving us
this
general
is-
knowledge.
This is general knowledge.
Okay, we got that.
Because you wanted to have an update, so I'm updating.
We did it. We got the update. We're good.
Good.
Okay, now let's
Okay.
move on
So
to the change order.
the next issue on the agenda
Mhm.
is the change order that
Right.
we're requesting that it be paid in the valve allocation, because this has to do with the valves that are existing.
That you guys already installed.
No,
No.
No,
These
they
are-
were there.
These are existing
I
valves that are
think-
broken.
I think the confusion is there are 2 agenda items,
Correct.
number 12 and number 18, and we're having a hard time parsing what's what.
oh,
Yeah, but you're
And
not being very specific
It's not
on,
specific enough to,
just tell us, what is the change order for, so we can do that.
so the
And then we'll
change,
move over
change
to
order
directive.
versus cost overrun,
so
I
the
think is what
change,
it is.
yes.
Yeah.
The change order is for 45,000.
Yes.
That's because we have existing valves that broke, and we need to install 3 insertion valves in order to shut this system down.
Great, then that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
Then
but
there's
just
no
make
the
way
motion.
around it. Hold on a minute. There's no way around it, right?
There is
Right,
absolutely
so
no way
that's the
around
change
it.
order. It's part and parcel of the project
Right.
and we're
So
good.
that's what we were asking for in the consent agenda, is to allocate those monies to the valve allocation that you all agreed to in your last budget, in the current budget
Okay,
for the valves. That's all.
good. So that's that.
That's that.
So,
Ready to vote on that.
Okay.
so let's go ahead and vote on that.
Public comment,
What's that?
public comment needed.
Yeah, I'm going. Man,
I'm just
yeah,
asking.
I mean, what the fuck? What's this?
We might have engineers out there.
Any public comment on this before we go to a vote? Everybody knows we need a couple valves for 45 grand. We're good to go?
We don't have a choice.
All right, so
Just shut down the main valve, main line, right?
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, by the way,
Is that a-
who made the motion? Carol, I think you made the motion.
Ainer said
Happy
he was
to
the one that
take
was ready
credit for
to
that.
move forward.
I'll second.
All right.
I can't hear it. All right,
He made a
so
motion.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now,
Okay.
let's move
Now,
on to the
Yes.
directive.
so this is an update.
Another update?
No, this is
Oh.
part of the update. Okay?
Just to be clear, we're on number 18.
We're on number 8. We're authorizing additional funding from North Ocean Boulevard Water Main Project due to necessary field directives.
Which had already been explained to us.
Okay. So
That's,
we have approximately a 6% overrun on fittings and other items that had to do with putting this pipe lower, okay?
Okay,
We also have an issue with the DOT asking us to do more work because we've had more breaks. And the third thing is, we've had more breaks. So every repair that they've done was against the project.
all right, so let's take them in order. So what was the first one?
6% overrun.
No, the
About a
first.
6%
no,
overrun.
no, the 3
The
items.
3
Yeah,
items.
that was the
That's
first
one. That's right.
No,
Okay, so
no.
Yes.
we got 6% overrun for all these
What's
items.
that number, guys? What's 6% mean?
Is that the
It's about
101,000?
140,000, okay?
So
It's
where did
about
this 101,000 number come from? That's where there's some
I'm
confusion.
looking at 101,704.
It's
That's right.
144,000. Take
Okay,
6%
I'm just-
of
It's an
2.4.
estimate, 6%, okay? It's about 140,000.
Okay.
Okay, it's an estimate?
So wait, I'm sorry, is it 6% of 140?
No.
Is it-
6% of the 2.4 million,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
That's,
6% doesn't really, is not very helpful. You have to tell us what the number is. Okay.
okay, sorry. About 140,000, okay? Approximately, we're not finished with the job yet, so this is an update. Not asking for any action at this point.
Wait a minute, no, you are though, but that's.
Well, can I ask a question?
Excuse me, one
So you
second.
say-
With all due respect. The regular agenda item, Lynn, says authorize additional funding for North Ocean Water Main project. So you are asking us for something, and that's really what we're trying to get to. What is it exactly you're asking us for?
Okay.
Yes, you're telling us that 6%. I get it. We all get it. But what are you asking us for in authorize additional funding? What is it that you're asking? We already said, okay, for the emergency change order, but even I'm now confused. You're going, what is the authorization money? Lynn?
Right now, there was 100 or 150,000 in contingency for this project.
That was built into the budget for the
Right.
project?
And
Okay,
thus
that was the question.
thus far, with the amount of breaks that we've had, we have used all of the contingency funding for this project. And the project isn't done, and it's currently looking at doing a 6% overrun
To finish the project.
to finish the project.
And this is your best guesstimate, is what you're saying, that what it could be.
That's our best guesstimate.
Is that the whole gist of it?
So-
That's the whole gist of it.
Okay.
Yes.
A contingency, that's for cost overruns, right? So if the
Yes.
budget was 150 on a $2.4 million project, that's about 6%.
Right. And
That, I mean, isn't contingency for cost overruns typically higher than that?
It probably should have been in this case.
Well, I think going forward, we're going to be doing a lot more of these. We have to be mindful of that.
That's exactly right, and that's why when you guys looked at that bottom line of 38 million, it's 38 million. This is,
Guys, can you just clarify? So we already used the 150, so what we're saying is we really went to 250,1704.
Lisa, go ahead.
He's adding the contingency and the new 6%.
I think that 101 number's
Yeah,
wrong.
what's your
Can I
name?
jump in? Hi, I'm Gabrielle with Ingenuity Group.
Mhm.
I was project manager for this 3,600 linear foot project. And so the numbers that you're pulling, the 101,000 that you're seeing at the bottom of page number 5, that number is including all the contingency items, which includes
the breaks.
about 10 water main breaks. So at the bottom of the chart, if you factor those numbers out, which is about $98,000, we're at 2,487,000. And our original scope was $2,483,000. So currently today, we are $3,500 in excess right now. And that's if you factor out the $98,000 out we needed to spend to fix all those water main repairs.
Are we making this really complicated?
Yeah.
We got
Yeah,
asphalt, we got asphalt,
We made it
breaks,
very-
and
Sorry.
depth. Those
I
three things are
apologize.
causing a 6% overrun. Is that it? Asphalt, breaks,
No,
and
the
depth.
asphalt is separate,
From the 144,000 you're
Yes.
asking for?
yes.
So we have $98,000 for the water main breaks.
Yeah.
Currently today. Then we have a separate asphalt budget that we are trying to work with FDOT. Lisa's been coordinating with their team to see if this can be incorporated on their project.
But we have they have not given us any directive or anything that this is exactly what needs to be done and, engineering or anything, right? They just said this is what we think you should be doing.
No, they had,
All right, well,
Can I-
whoever has the answer to that question, please let us know.
This young man knows more than I do.
I can't hear what you're
Max.
saying.
So we need
I'm
Max.
gonna let Max.
All right, Max.
He's
You're up,
dealing with
Max.
the DOT. He's totally engaged, trust me.
Okay, go ahead, Max, start from the beginning.
Originally on the contract,
You gotta be near the mic.
there's 710 square yards of milling and resurfacing and 9 tons of the asphalt used to do that. FDOT came back and said that they wanted to increase the limits of our mill and overlay. Some of them are because we had to dig deeper, so the hole was bigger. Now the patch is bigger. When we go back to mill and resurface, it has to be bigger. So when the water main breaks, wherever the water main broke, we had to do the same thing, dig down to the pipe, put a patch, we have to come back, mill and overlay. There's also cases where we broke it here, and then 50 feet south, we were supposed to work there. We're supposed to connect someone. Now that those patches are so close to each other, we have to mill and overlay everything in between it as well.
Now, is that per the DOT or is that per your engineering? Now, now, do we have to do it right now?
FDOT, yes. I mean, we're scheduled.
Well, what if we did and we just left the patches?
I don't know what would happen. Honestly, I don't know.
Were they gonna come and take, unless
Well,
I
they're
drive
gonna
the road?
break our
patches in the
sidewalks.
road. If we left the patches in the road as they are now,
Uh-huh.
I mean, they wouldn't. The patches, after 30 days, the asphalt they use for the patches starts to sink into the ground.
You have an open permit with the DOT?
Mhm.
You probably pulled the permit?
Yes, on behalf of the town.
They will not close that permit for you, number one. But Max, I would really like you to start from the very beginning, before the asphalt. Talk about like what the contract was, how much contingency was in the contract.
Yeah.
And where that contingency went. Give them the full story.
Yeah, so originally, our contract, sorry, to read on
your laptop?
Was 2.483. We had 359,000 in contingency. It's 20%, I believe. Most of the items, some items don't get included in the 20%. We currently have billed for 2.585.
And that's where your 101 came.
That's what the over, that's over the contingency and the original contract. I mean, the original contract includes the contingency.
That's current and the project's not.
And we still have,
So 101 over total, including contingency.
Yes.
So we've
Yes.
spent the contingency and then
Right.
some.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's clear.
and we still have not done the milling and overlay.
And what do you think, so the milling overlay is gonna cost? Have you come up with a number of that?
Yeah. I'm gonna grab my laptop real quick. I have it here.
Okay. Can you know off the top of your head?
You'd think these young guys could read a small screen.
And just while he's looking at, so from the 45,000 is something different.
Yeah, that's the
Totally
the
different.
replacement
Totally
valve.
different. Those are valves.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. They're supposed to, they have anticipated to do the mill and overlay this Wednesday.
Yeah, day after tomorrow.
The cost of the milling and resurfacing and the asphalt used for it is approximately $322,400.
Additional.
That would, yes, we have not, well, we haven't billed for any of the asphalt for that or any of the milling. or
Is that all
resurfacing. We haven't
additional
done
or
it.
is that?
No, that's the total.
total.
That's the total with the additional, we take out the original contract.
We need to know what additional money.
Additional over 2.483 or
Well-
additional over 2.585?
So you had,
Over 2.585.
That's, yeah,
and don't
so,
forget, you had money in the original contract for the paving, for the patching, for the overlay.
okay.
That money hasn't been spent yet because we haven't got to that point of the project. That
Okay.
money's been spent on other things,
Other
though,
things.
okay?
So there's no more money, so it doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
Doesn't
Exactly,
matter.
it's in-
But I
it's on
want you
zero.
guys to understand that.
So is the 6% accurate?
Not
No,
now, we
this-
do milling and
This,
overlay.
not including the asphalt.
The asphalt
The
is
asphalt is
an
what's.
additional 322,000 over all of this.
Approximately.
So it's 322,000 plus 6%?
They're just informing us that that's gonna happen.
Well, from my conversations with Paul, the FDOT inspector, he can't imagine that we won't be required to do it. He says that there's no plan within the next 5 years.
But we don't
to
have
not do
anything
it.
before us asking that, right? At least I don't see anything that talks about 322,000.
So what are we being asked to approve today?
I don't think anything.
Is this
at
on the
point.
next
I think
agenda?
you're
I mean,
just telling
I-
us that it could be 322,000 to
Right,
do this.
We need to approve at least the 101 that we're over right now, because without that, I can't pay application 5, which is due.
So that's what we need approval for.
So
Okay.
I've got a question. Originally, the contingency was 150.
No,
20%.
359,000.
Yeah,
359,000.
And we're over 101.
correct.
So,
But understand that, you know, you have a line item contract, unit price contract. None of the unit prices for anything to do with the paving have been, has the patching been charged yet?
The patching has been charged.
Okay, so some of the paving has been paid for, but the mill and overlay, when they come and they mill down an inch and then overlay where all the patches, and get rid of all the patches, they make one big long overlay. That none of that has been charged to the original contract yet.
And we
We
didn't
haven't done that work.
anticipate any of this.
No, we did.
Some,
It
but
was on the
not to the
drawings.
extent
Yeah.
that we're being asked to do.
Yeah, they're extending, DOT's
Extending,
making
they
you
made us
guys do
put
more area.
deeper asphalt, so the tonnage increased and the square footage increased.
okay, so it goes back to my other question.
Is there an appeal process that we could go through where we can push back on that?
That's exactly what if we said no?
We need this?
Think you already called?
I didn't speak to him. I
Somebody-
called to try to see if there was a mill and overlay project in town that was upcoming.
Okay, so
We
let's-
haven't gotten
let's-
anything from the DOT.
Okay, all right. So we need approval for $101,000, is that correct?
101,70409.
Right? And then the milling and the overlay stuff is not an issue we need to, is right now. You're just informing us of this issue that may come up,
Correct.
correct?
That's
So
correct.
that's not something we need to deal with right at this moment because you're really not really sure of what's going on. What happens if DOT decides to mill the whole thing A1A in a project that comes down the road a year, 2 years from now? And then we just spend all this money remilling something they're gonna remill again.
That's why
We
we
agree.
went back and asked them, are you guys be milling and overlay anytime in the future?
Jeff, the
Then maybe you don't even have to do
Hold on,
it.
Amy.
The reason I'd like to talk about it is because I don't want them to go do it. And then next meeting they say, well, we just have to.
No, they're not gonna do it though. You're not gonna do it without our approval because you're gonna need the money for us to get the approval for us to do that. So it would be incumbent upon our town engineer to let us know if that's coming up, hey, this is what we have to do. And yes, we're gonna have to do it. And you're just not gonna do it and spend $300-something thousand without our approval, right?
I want to make sure they don't, and that we push back if we can push back.
Okay, well, we're scheduled to do this on Wednesday.
But that's the 101,000.
That's the 100.
No, that's just
The
approving what,
300,000 on Wednesday?
No, I'm not talking about 101, I'm talking about the 323.
that's what they're
Yes,
talking about
that's what we're
too.
talking
But
about.
that, there was nothing about that in the packet. Like, we're all hearing this for the first time.
Wednesday, Jeff, that's what I'm saying. You're doing it Wednesday then?
Yes,
That's what it's
the
scheduled.
mill and
yes.
overlay is like the
In
last
2
thing we do on the job. So
So-
we've already
so what's
installed all the
point of
sods.
this? I mean, shouldn't we approve that in advance rather than you just do it and then you tell us to approve it when we've got to pay it because you already did it?
Well, some of it was in the original plans. It was in the original scope.
Right, but see,
Right,
it
but
was,
the
it's not as
scope
much.
But you're
Yeah,
over budget.
they increased it, right.
I get it, but see, well, I don't understand why this isn't in the package. We're actually approving not 101,000, but 354,000.
I was not aware of the additional.
Well, somebody's gonna be aware of it. I mean, here we are, we're looking at this
But-
packet
No,
and we're
we-
looking at this information and now we're getting basically, slapped in the back of the head. Oh, here's another $354,000.
Just-
Actually, not another, it's 354 plus the
322.
101, right?
So a question, just in project planning, right? When you have a budget and you know how much is earmarked for each line item and you kind of keep track along the way, I guess we need to understand more clearly, where did money get allocated from one
Right. that's-
silo to
Well-
another on
Right.
this project? And now here we are with something that should have been covered, not all of it, obviously, because they're asking a lot. But now, you know what I mean? Where did we veer off course that money from one area got spent on something else?
Well, I think that she did explain that to us at our last meeting, exactly that you had to use certain money because there are certain things that are happening. And rather than Chris was telling us go out to the many, many bids and redo that and it would hold the project up. That's why we did use some of those funds. But I guess what I'm upset about is the fact that we're not being told 101, we're being told a heck of a lot more than that. And we're only being told tonight when you guys have to do it on Wednesday. So,
Yeah, I'd like to know about it in advance before we're going to spend it so that we can at least discuss it.
Yeah, so really, what is the discussion? You're telling me that the project, you're gonna do it on Wednesday, which means it's gonna be, that's the project, that part of the project's finished, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Max, if you pull the bid items for the mill and the overlay
Mhm.
that were in the original contract, what are those dollars?
Well,
It
that's,
doesn't matter because it's already used
well,
up.
excuse me for a second. I see exactly your point. So what is, because of the milling and the overlay, it's actually more because of the fact we had to go deeper. We had to do a lot of different things that were not in the original engineering. What is the cost difference from our original cost of what the milling and what versus what we have to add to that number? So maybe it isn't the 354, maybe it's 150,000.
Right.
So do you have that number or some, or even just a,
He's gonna get that for you real quick.
But that 200 was already reallocated to something else.
right, but that was reallocated to the stuff we had to do when other projects, part of that project came.
Yes.
Which is fine because we just want to get the project done. I mean, let's face it, the pipe's got to get changed. The thing is, it just hurts a little bit when we come up and that this information is not as clear and concise as it should be. And it's very.
And it's late in the game.
I understand.
And it's late in the
I
game.
get it. And that,
Yeah.
and
We're trying to plan for this stuff, and when we find out about it.
Max, what's the magic number?
Come on,
That's not good.
99,700 was what was
There you go.
originally allocated for.
Okay, so that's a lot more palatable than 354,000
No, but that's 99 that was allocated and it needs 322,400.
Correct.
plus the 101,
But you guys are both on the
So-
same page.
plus the 101, or is it 101
yes,
included? in-
101 is for
101
something
is
else.
for other
So
things.
stop.
And that's an estimate, right?
So it's
You're saying
254.
It's an estimate for a mill and overlay,
Yeah.
300.
We can only estimate.
Max walked the job with Paul from the DOT, and they marked everything on the asphalt with white paint. And then Max went back and he measured everything, so we got a unit price contract, we get paid by the square yard, we get paid by the tonnage. And so he measured all the area that the DOT inspector said we have to do. Some of it is, he was pretty lenient with, to be honest with you.
When was that?
We've done it multiple times. I think the most recent time was,
Early November.
yeah, maybe 2 weeks, two or 3 weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving.
But you see how that is just such germane to tonight's
Yeah.
meeting, that when that happened and when that, we had to know that with town engineer and the town manager, hey, we need to get this out and maybe have an emergency meeting so we can discuss this. To kind of give it to us now is very disheartening.
Mayor, I understand that,
Mhm.
and I agree with you 100%. However, one thing to remember that we were in contact with the DOT to see are there any projects coming out where, because they're down in Delray right now, I guess, overlaying, coming this way. Well, maybe they're gonna come up here and overlay, you want to
That's
spend
what
an
we-
extra penny. So
Right.
that was being done in that time frame from the time early November till right about now. But we gotta get this job done. And
Yeah.
mill and overlay is happening Wednesday.
So we need to do the math, so we have the proper number. Can you do the math? You're at 322,400 minus 90 something,
99, we're at 322,400 minus 99,700.
so what's that equal?
222.
222, and that's the money you require tonight.
Well, we
No.
need
No.
to 22,
No.
because the original 100,000 was spent on other
Other
things in the
things.
contract.
So you need 222 plus the 100 that was
Plus the
moved to.
No, wait.
Plus the
Wait, excuse me, 1 second. We only need to do the $101,000 tonight so we can
Correct.
pay you. We don't need to do the milling money right now because we're not really sure exactly what that number is gonna be. So we know it's gonna be close,
It's close.
but you haven't billed it yet.
We're billing it starting Wednesday.
You're doing it starting Wednesday.
Yeah.
So once we do that, we can either have an emergency meeting or go that route. But to approve something, we don't even know what the true number is.
I understand.
But we know it's coming,
We do know it's coming.
that's all I'm saying.
But Jeff,
Yeah.
could we please direct them that next time somebody like the DOT says, you gotta do this and it's gonna cost us $300,000, that you let us know right away. You don't wait until you're about to do it.
Yeah, I think you're getting the
As
drift
soon
of
as we learn
all
of
that.
it, we should know
Right.
about it because
Agreed.
that's
Lisa.
important. to us.
Agreed. We were trying to, since they were in Delray, we were trying to get them to say that they're coming from north. And therefore, we don't want to do it at all.
Exactly.
We told them we don't want to do it at all.
I agree.
It's a waste of money if they come back and do it.
That's the thing. So like I said earlier, if they come back, we do all this work in 2 years, a year and a half from now, they decide to remill the whole thing and increase the shoulders, then we just blew money of town people's money for nothing.
Exactly. Well, and I actually had a conversation with Paul too, right?
I talked to Paul today, on my way here, again, I called him and asked him, and I told him I was going to a meeting. And he said that right now, they do not have any plans in the next 5 years to come into this area. He also said, with the patches we have out on the road, I'm sure you guys have all seen them, they're not perfect because he, when he approved the permit in his mind, we were gonna come and mill and overlay these patches anyway. He said, if we weren't to do the mill and overlay right away, it won't be postponed for long. We'll have to come back and do it, in a month or two. And before we do that, we would have to come back and redo all those patches on the road. And then after we redo them and square them off, make them symmetrical, from now until the time we do the mill and overlay, we would have to come back and maintain those patches, which could be once every 30 days, 40 days when they settle again.
Okay, so we could also do one other thing. We can approve the 101, and we could also approve up to a certain number.
Right, exactly.
So.
Give us a certain number.
Give us a number we can approve up to. For the milling, the extra milling and the extra.
The 101 plus what? Not the full number.
A conservative number, I'd say 350. Yeah.
Plus the 101.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we get them to,
Jeff, it's a little hard for me to hear. Is that what the understanding of pushback?
is that with the understanding we're going to push back?
Yeah, well, if we can.
Can we get them to put in writing? He said we have no plans to come and redo this road for the next 5 years.
I do have an email with that statement from FDOT.
From this Paul?
No, from the engineers.
From the engineers that say that this is not on their 5-year plan.
So who's the
They
head
could
guy you're
change the
talking to? What's?
They do, they change their mind all the time
Yeah.
because they're down
doesn't
south
mean
and they're
anything.
moving north.
Well, how about this?
Paul Gentry.
How about we have our town manager find out exactly who to speak to and say, okay, are you guys absolutely positively sure, and get an email that we as a DOT are not planning on remilling the road for 2 or 3 years. At least we can have some kind of solace in knowing that, we're not doing something and wasting our money.
This means you need to do it tomorrow because they're gonna spend the money Wednesday.
I know.
Well, it's gonna start Wednesday, yeah.
To start Wednesday, but that means, hey,
Well, I'm just
maybe
saying
we get
this
you
is
cut
the
off halfway through.
day.
That's half the money. All right, so
How much money are we allocating this evening?
it's gonna be 400 and change,
Well, no, it's 101
plus
in your agenda
350.
packet for pay request number 5. That's in your agenda.
Correct.
So that
Now,
should be a motion.
but you're also asking,
Should be a second.
Okay.
Maybe a motion not to exceed for the balance of this project.
right,
For
that's
the
what,
mill and overlay.
Correct. So the first one should be in your agenda packet for the 101. That's with respect to pay app number 5.
To approve item number 18.
The 101 overages includes the 10 water main breaks.
Yes.
Of the $98,000 I'm referring to.
Unexpected water break.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Unexpected water
It's
main
all
breaks
in
is
there.
98,000 and we're currently over 101,000.
right, I get all that. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's
That
part
may
and
include
parcel
the
to the whole
break, so
job.
What,
The 350-ish number is, I'm pretty confident, it's pretty accurate too, because we went out and physically measured everything that the DOT inspector had us mark, and it's all a unit price contract, and the asphalt tonnage, the asphalt weighs 110 pounds per inch. We're within 2% of that number.
All right, so let's go ahead and approve, or somebody make a motion regarding the 101.
I move that we approve agenda item number 18, authorizing the additional funding for North Ocean Boulevard Water Main Project due to necessary field directives in the amount of $101,704.09.
Is there a second?
Second.
Public comment? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, the next motion would be for the amount not to exceed number.
But you're not telling them 350, it's 322, right?
Well, I'm trying to be a little
Well,
conservative.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I think it was 340.
I don't.
I mean, it really depends on the tonnage that we end up with. That's gonna be the,
What was the number you came up with the calculation?
322,
322.4.
Okay, so,
So 325.
no, I was like to try not to come back and ask for more.
Why not?
We don't.
Huh?
if
Why
you-
We
not?
prefer that.
You know?
Try not to do that.
Yeah, you can buy end up a new police car for the rest of the money.
Okay, so let's see,
325?
325. I think see 325.
All right, so who wants to make a motion for that?
I don't know what the hell the motion is. I'm making a motion
Not to exceed.
approve
Want me to do it?
This is
up to
contingent.
$325,000 for
350.
For the
millage
asphalt,
and
for
asphalt.
the asphalt and the mill and overlay, that's
Mill and
required
overlay.
by the
DOT,
DOT
right.
mandate.
Kelly, did you get that? You want to read it back?
You're approving the spending of $325,000?
Up to.
Up to, for the mill and overlay as requested by the FDOT.
Okay, is there a second on that mill? Is there a second?
I made a motion. I don't second it.
Do you second it?
Yep.
Public comment?
I think you guys should put this off, this part of it, for a special meeting that you guys have. Because the numbers are really confusing. Since we have money in the budget for partial, because this has been crazy here, partial of the milling, now they're asking for all this much more for the milling. Somebody's got to put their feet to the fire to the DOT, which should be our town manager, and so I definitely think you should not approve this, and you should put it off till you have another meeting in a week, in 2 weeks, whatever. This is very upsetting, so I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, is that everything?
Yes.
All right.
I won't-
You folks
Thank
have any
you.
other questions?
I'm
Do you have
sorry?
any
Any
other
other questions
questions?
about the project?
No,
We will.
we will though.
And it would really be good if we can get this information before the night of a meeting,
All
or
right.
the morning of a meeting.
I agree.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
By Christmas, couple of weeks, hopefully, we're done. They got a brand new asphalt road, or a lot of it, new striping, and we're out of here.
Okay. But
Until the next
going forward with the
3,600
different
feet.
phases, I think we're gonna need, I would like to see regular construction updates itemized, like we had to take money from here to pay for the, you know what I mean? Instead of getting all of this at once.
Does the fact
Well, I
that,
think that should be instructed to our town manager, to make sure that happens.
Yeah, and as soon as we've used up a contingency or we've had a red flag come up, we should know about that.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
thanks.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to number 13. That would be the approval on the second reading of ordinance number 2024-02. Kelly?
Ordinance 2024-02, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending the Land Development Code of Chapter 64 zoning, Article 3, supplemental regulations, Section 64-44, fences, walls, and hedges, to clarify the regulations regarding hedges and to clarify the landscape requirements for walls and fences facing and adjacent to the public rights of way, providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
So Elizabeth, you're up to speed on this at all?
I am up to speed on this. It is all in Christie's memo that is part of your agenda packet. This is really to clarify that there is no height limit for hedges and that the hedges have to be on the outside of walls and fences when it's facing the road. And that's really all there is.
Wow. So you are up to speed. All righty. There's someone make a motion?
I move to approve ordinance 2024-02 on second reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion second, public comment. Hearing none, back to the commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Number 14, approval on first reading of ordinance number 2024-03 and 2024-04, updates to chapter 66 and 67 regarding flood damage prevention and the technical codes and other construction standards. Elizabeth, you take this? Or Kelly, you want to take it?
I'm going to read it by title only.
Okay, great.
Okay. Ordinance 2024-03, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its Land Development Code at Chapter 67, Building and Building Regulations, Article 3, Technical Codes and Other Construction Standards, Division 1, generally, Section 67-31, adoption of the Florida Building Code amendments, to clarify that the town's administrative amendments to the Florida Building Code adopted by resolution shall have the same force and effect as an ordinance within the town. Amending Section 67-39, technical amendments to update and make consistent with the provisions concurrently updated in Chapter 66 regarding flood damage prevention and to delete inconsistent provisions. Amending Chapter 67, Building and Building Regulations, Article 3, Technical Codes and Other Construction Standards, Division 2, Administration and Enforcement, Section 67-55, Construction Board Adjustments and Appeals, to clarify who may hear variance requests from the Building Code, and deleting Chapter 67, Building and Building Regulations, Article 3, Technical Codes and Other Construction Standards, Division 3, Amendments to the Florida Building Code to avoid any confusion with the application of Section 67-31, and providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you.
We'll take these one at a time. So this is ordinance 2024-03. And this is to change some of your definitions to, instead of having definitions here and in other sections, that they will cross-reference, and to update references to your building code amendments, make sure that they are clear that they're effective as if they were codified in the ordinances, and then addressing who can hear variances, just as it says in the caption.
Thank you. Okay, what's the pleasure of the commission?
Can I ask a question, Elizabeth?
Sure.
So I attended the planning and zoning meetings to listen. I like what they did with the definitions. And I'm just, when we talk about substantial improvement, does this address the 50% rule? Okay, and does that only pertain to homes that are in a high hazard flood area?
No, it does not. And I was looking for that language because it's.
Because I couldn't find that.
Yeah, well, it's actually being changed, the definition is being changed in the other ordinance. This change in 2024-03 is to add that the definition will cross-reference to the other section that's being amended in 2024-04.
Okay.
So do you want to talk about that then?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so it's a pleasure, commission. Somebody make
I'm really deeply troubled on this one. This is the first I'm hearing that this is revamping, is it revamping our municipality's definition of what 50% is?
What this ordinance is doing, so they're related, but they are separate. So this ordinance is changing the definitions of cumulative substantial improvement, repetitive flood damage, and substantial damage to cross-reference what the definitions will be in the next ordinance. So it's not actually changing, creating a new definition here, but saying we have a definition in another section and we're going to use that same definition here.
Okay, I don't like this at all. Maybe I'm just not understanding it. We've asked P and Z to define what equals, what creates 50%, not of cost, but of.
That's in the next ordinance.
It's in the next ordinance.
Okay,
The
so.
details of it are in the next ordinance.
So
Yeah.
this, that you just described to me, is language to make this ordinance match the coming
Yes.
ordinance? Okay, got it.
Somewhere along the line, we removed like windows, redoing a roof.
That's in the next ordinance.
That's in the next.
That's in the next ordinance.
Okay, so having said all that, somebody want to make a motion? Or not?
I would point out that these two motions are, or these two ordinances are required for the town to pass by December 20th, or we lose our membership in the National Floodplain Insurance Program, which means that no new NFIP flood insurance can be issued. Existing ones cannot be renewed, and we will be not eligible for any type of flood insurance until we go through and get completely recertified. So
And this is the first reading.
This is the first
So we're
reading.
going to have to have a special reading too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I move that we approve ordinance number 2024-03 on the first reading as written.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Public comment. All right, hearing none.
Wait a minute, this is 2020-03, okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now, do we need to say when we're gonna have our next meeting?
No, we have to get through
We have
2024
to get through the next one.
first.
Which,
Kelly?
right, I don't have a 2020, this next ordinance.
It's in the same tab.
Same tab as of 2023?
Keep going.
What page are you looking at?
Keep going.
Page,
14.
page 49 of
It's actually
108.
13 in my book because the
You
book's
have
went
the
out.
old book.
Okay, got it.
Kelly?
Ordinance 2024-04, an ordinance of the town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending chapter 66, environmental regulations, article 2, flood damage prevention, division 1, administration, to update the date of the flood insurance study and flood insurance rate maps, to specify elevation of manufactured homes in flood hazard areas, and for other purposes, amending chapter 1, general provisions, section 1-3, definitions, to make the definitions of substantial damage and substantial improvements consistent with the section 66-25, and providing for an applicability, codification, repeal of conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
All right, so this is where the details of the change to substantial improvement are contained. And this is where it has been recommended that the change include in removing storm hardening improvements to the structure, such as replacing non-impact doors and windows with impact doors and windows, that would not count toward the 50%. And that the 50% look back be only for 2 years instead of 5. Those are the major
And
changes there.
I think, wouldn't that include roof as well?
Yeah,
I think they talked,
Yes.
yes,
And-
yeah,
Yeah.
storm hardening.
Yeah, any storm hardening.
So that was great. And then they changed the 5-year look back to 2 years.
2 years, right.
So you want to do something, just wait 2 years to do any more to the limit. And is this, what does the Florida code say about substantial improvement and 50%?
It does not specify. So communities do it differently. Some look at each instance. If that one instance can't go over 50% of the cost of the structure. So you're looking at it each time you come in to do repairs. You all have a 5-year look back. So you're looking at, in the last 5 years, have you done enough changes to the structure that you would have hit that 50%? And so, you know, and there's everything in between, you know, everybody does it a little different.
But in Ocean Ridge, regardless of what your flood zone is, you
It
can
applies.
only spend 50%.
Yes, and that is the Florida Building Code, that they have the 50% requirement. When you hit 50% of the cost of the structure, when you're doing any alterations, that you have to bring the building up to code.
Oh, okay, so
But
that
the
was
2
my
years-
question.
But we did
Yes.
take out the roof, we took out the windows and.
Yes.
The stuff that
Yeah.
we're
Well, we're
complaining
taking
about.
things
And
out.
it's just-
Yeah, mold
2-year look back.
remediation.
And you're saying
things
Mold
like that.
remediation.
So here's my anecdote that hopefully you can explain. So I spend 49% in 2024.
Okay.
2025, something happens to my roof, which is now gonna take me through the 50% limit. What happens?
That's storm hardening.
If it's storm hardening, then it doesn't count
So it won't
under
count.
this proposed language. If it's not storm hardening, then you bring the entire structure up to code.
Wow.
Well, if you're putting in a new
A
roof.
new
it's
roof would
storm-
be
that
considered
would
storm
No,
hardening.
I get that part, but I'm looking at like and what about like if it's an act of nature, like a tree comes through your wall? That's covered under emergency repair, it doesn't affect the 50%?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
One aside, from now on, we're doing these ordinances that have gone through the planning and zoning. Can we have either the chair or the vice chair here? So we could ask, or somebody from the planning and zoning here, who could give us a kind of a rundown of what their decision-making was when they were doing it? Please. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve ordinance 2024-04 as written
On the first reading.
on the first reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Public comment. All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, let's go on to the consideration of mitigation of liens at 23 Coconut Lane. Lynn,
This is actually a Kelly.
is it Kelly thing?
Yeah.
I'm the owner of 23 Coconut Lane.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
James P. Cooksey, owner of 23 Coconut Lane.
Got it.
This is a proposal to settle the litigation that's currently in the 4th District Court of Appeals.
Could you come closer to the microphone?
I'm sorry. This is a proposal to end the litigation that's currently in the 4th District Court of Appeals regarding 2 liens on 23 Coconut Lane. One was regarding the landscaping, and one was regarding a fence around a pool. I think the total amount of the liens, one was 89,000 and something, and one was 28,000. The one 89,000 got out of hand because I didn't know that there was a hearing, and there's a lot of issues with that, and a lot of discoveries been taking place.
Yeah, you're an attorney.
I'm an attorney.
Okay, thank you.
But I have an attorney also named Jennifer Carroll, who's also representing me. There was a proposed settlement agreement to resolve all issues between Mrs. Carroll and Christy Godow, the town attorney, to resolve all liens for $30,000 and to terminate all the litigation, including the current appeals in the 4th District Court of Appeal, and any other issues in the circuit court. And also the lien for the pool, which was caused by my contractor neglecting to get a timely inspection. The fence was actually up August 1st, and he failed to get a timely inspection. It dragged on until November 11th, and put a permit in the window because it was required. So it was really more technical reasons than any harm being done to the public. And the lien ran on to $28,000 when he was working on another project in Delaware Beach. And so I requested that these liens be mitigated. Mrs. Godow thought that a fair amount to resolve all the litigation and all the issues was the sum of $30,000. I prepared a settlement agreement that I give to counsel here. Elizabeth has a copy of it. I should say that the house is currently under contract to a luxury builder who's next up putting an 8,500 square foot luxury residence there, which will be to the great comfort and relief of the residents of Coconut Lane in the town. As soon as this issue is resolved and the title is clear, the contract will go through. It's a firm contract. It was scheduled to close December 6th, but because the town commission meeting is December 9th, it's been delayed until December 18th. So there is a firm contract to close there. And when we amicably resolve all these issues, we can move on to tear down the existing structure, which has a lot of very, very bad problems with it, mainly cracking. And the town engineer inspected it, structural engineer. My architect inspected it, and they all agreed that it should be knocked down, should be raised, because the problems are so bad.
So you do not live in the home?
No, it's completely unlivable. It's, the house is basically falling apart. It had very, very bad settlement cracks. I've had 2 structural engineers, 2 architects, about an interior demolition that cost $120,000 to take all the drywall, pool, tile. The pool is cracked. All the opinions I'm getting by all the experts.
How many years have you owned it?
20 years. Almost, well, 18, I should say.
So I got a quick question. You said earlier that the closing was going to be on the 6th, but because the town commission meeting's on the 9th, you didn't close because of the issues. So the only issue here is us about the $118,000. So the $118,000 is the only reason why I didn't close because.
Well, there's a lien and it's clouding the title, and the contract is contingent on title being clear before closing.
Okay.
So we have to resolve these issues.
Or pay the fines?
Yeah, well, that's why Mrs. Godow and my attorney Jennifer Carroll, but they've worked a proposed settlement agreement out.
Should we ask Elizabeth to comment on that?
What's that?
Should we ask Elizabeth to comment on that?
I do know a little bit about it, and so they had offered $10,000 to settle the pending litigation, clear the liens, and the town would issue a release and the property owner would issue a release. So general releases on both sides. We went back and said that we didn't think that you all were gonna go for $10,000 for this issue. So we said we could, in good conscience, recommend $30,000 to close this issue again with, it would clear the liens, it would dismiss the pending cases with prejudice and waivers on both sides. So that is the offer that is before you tonight and available for.
I'm sorry, who's speaking right now?
Elizabeth, our
Our acting town attorney.
Yes. Sitting in for Christie tonight.
Christie's stand-in?
Yes. So, do you all want to give a different direction or accept the offer or decline the offer?
So this offer removes, just a minute, Aaron. This offer removes any legal action that you're taking as well?
It takes care of all the litigation. In good faith, there is issues on both sides. It could go either way.
So what I'm hearing here is we have a real estate deal.
Yeah.
You're the seller and there's a buyer over here.
Yeah.
So there's 100,000, let's call it 100,000 lien against the house, right? So instead of the buyer and the seller figuring out how to pay off that lien, you're coming to the public to pay off that lien so you can close the property.
Well,
And was Spencer Blank, is he the buyer?
no, Spencer Blank has nothing to do with this.
Because he came before us before on the same matter.
Christie didn't.
He's another issue. He misrepresented some stuff and I fired Spencer. He's a contractor who was gonna work on, do a lot of work on the house, maybe possibly under a joint venture to build the house. But he misrepresented many things about pulling permits, which he never did and said he did. So we fired him and got another contractor. Subsequently, that contractor and me decided to part ways, and I have a firm contract with a Calypso investment builder who's gonna build it. And like you're saying, I'm not asking, this case is in litigation, and it's costing both my appellate attorney $500 an hour. Reynolds Law Firm is representing the town. It's gonna cost them a substantial amount of money on appeal. Mrs. Carroll, as my attorney, is confident we can win on some notice and due process issues. So there's some complex legal issues that could straggle on here for another 2 years and possibly go to the.
See, that's what I don't
Supreme
like.
Court.
It's a private business deal and now you're coming here and just what you just said was
Well,
basically, not for the threat's too strong a word, but you're saying, if you don't approve this, you're gonna have an eyesore for another 2 years. We have our own remedies for that with the ordinances in town.
well,
I don't think it's fair at all to be asking the town to pay $120,000. This isn't us paying it, this is the citizens behind you paying it. For a business deal that you can't close because you and the buyer can't negotiate $100,000. I don't know what you're selling the property for, but you've owned it 20, 30
Well,
years.
let me start off.
They can pay the lien, right? They just pay the lien and it
Pay
goes.
the
Right,
lien.
exactly. During the transaction, the closing transaction.
There is
We
issues.
impose fines to get them to do the right thing.
No.
They go for 509 days without doing the right thing. Then they come back and say, gee, it's a lot of money. It's like, well,
No.
if you
Yeah.
would have done it when you were supposed to do it, you wouldn't have had the big fine.
And it's a dangerous precedent, I think, too, to say 509 days, we'll put up with it and we'll forgive it at the end of the day.
No, there was a lot of issues involved.
Not with us, though.
No.
No.
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you just
Well,
ignored it. I mean, somebody ignored, maybe not you.
No, there was a lot of conclusions being made here. There's some complex legal issues, like I said, that the Reynolds Law Firm is aware of and Mrs. Gatto is aware of. And this, well, let me start off from the start. This is in litigation. The litigation will last another couple of years, okay? And this is to terminate the litigation and all issues. And Ms. Carroll and Mrs. Gatto worked a settlement agreement out that they thought was fair to propose to the town. I'm just saying, mentioning, there is a contract that if this thing does resolve, this was proposed by counsel for both sides, this contract will go through. I'm not here to say that this litigation or these liens are messing up a deal. Okay, that's not
Well,
what I was trying
Well,
to.
Well, they are, because you won't
They
pay
are
them.
messing up a deal. I came
Yes.
to say,
I don't understand why that's our issue. I really don't.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Cooksey. So is there pleasure of the commissioner? Does somebody want to make a motion regarding this?
Well, the only thing I would consider at all is a reduction of some minimal amount upon the closing of the property.
Over and above 30,000 bucks.
How about
No,
relieving, how
no,
about relieving the
minimal amount.
interest?
10,000, something like that, as a reduction.
Oh, is it reduction?
That's the only thing. I
Well,
would-
doesn't Elizabeth, doesn't he have to pay the lien prior to selling the house?
He needs a clean title, yeah.
Yeah.
The lien can be paid out of closing. That is possible.
no, it can't. The contract is specifically contingent on clean title being delivered. There
That's what
are
I'm saying, so
issues.
the forgiving thing would be,
Just a little incentive, that's all.
I would propose maybe that we consider forgiving the interest.
Well, the problem is this case will not settle. But Mrs. Carroll thinks I'm on sound legal footing.
Well,
And it's got due
as I mentioned
process.
before, the precedent is dangerous.
Well, we can litigate the thing for 2 more years. I don't care.
Okay.
If that's what you guys want to do. Keep blowing $500 an hour instead of resolving it.
But you're turning it on us. This is a private
I'm not
business
putting it
deal.
on you. And this
This
private
is
business deal,
This is you guys.
I'm just saying this is a fact that's existing, okay? We can move on, we can bury the litigation, which the council thought was the intelligent thing to do.
Which
What council?
Council?
That's
Mrs.
not the
Dowdell,
discussion I
town
had
attorney.
with the council.
well, I mean, let's look at it a different way though. I'm a neighbor across the way and I'm looking at that house that has basically no door on the second story. All right, the place is a total disaster area for years. So our job is to look after the residents of the town, including you. And you have that has been a problem and an eyesore of the town for years now. So to come to the town right now and say, look, I really want you guys to forgive these liens is kind of disingenuous in my book, because you could have done something to at least fix up the place. You did finally clear it up because of the fact of the code enforcement we had to do.
I could fix it up.
Well, you could cut the grass, you could mow, take the trees down, you could do a lot of stuff. I mean,
Really like it.
Mr. Cooksey,
The house.
I've been by that place for years now, and nothing's been done with it. So you finally had to do something because the town held your feet to the fire,
Ignored us.
okay?
No,
So
I mean,
I think if the town if somebody wants to make a motion, we've already gone through this, we've gone through this now. This is like the 3rd time we've gone through these reduction. So if there's a motion on the floor, I take it, and let's move on with this. If you want to give some deference to Mr. Cooksey, you can. If not, let's make a decision here.
I'm just saying, that's not correct. I've done nothing. I spent over $150,000 on construction work on the house. After an interior demolition was done, only then was it determined by 2 architects, 2 contractors, and 2 structural engineers that the house has to be raised.
Well,
I get that, Mr. Cooksey. I've been watching birds
I
fly
get
in and out of
that.
that opening in that house, 2nd floor, for 2 years now. So it's enough's enough.
The other
So what are
question
we
is, why
doing?
would you do interior work without having the engineering report done?
We
before?
had engineering reports done. It was pursuant to the engineering reports.
But you just said they came back and said it's structurally unsound.
Pardon?
You came back and said they said it was structurally unsound after you had spent $150,000
No, it was before. The
before.
structural engineer
Yes.
recommended an interior demolition was done. I spent $150,000 on interior demolition for the contractor. It was then determined after the structural engineers went in,
That's what I
and the
just said.
soil engineering, and another structural engineer, that the structure could not be safe.
But you spent $150,000 when the engineering report telling you the house needed to be knocked down should have
Not
been
the
done before
engineering
you did
report
the
on interior
internal
demolition.
demo. You see what,
The interior construction work cost that much.
so, Mr. Cooksey, I appreciate your situation. The taxpayer should not have to bear this burden. I would do, as again, I said, I'd do some minimal thing. I would say if in fact this closes by December 31st, we'll reduce it from 118 to 100,000.
Right, but can we do that, Elizabeth? Because he's got to have a clear title according to Mr. Cooksey. So he'd have to pay that prior to closing.
Okay,
He can delay
so we'll
closing.
do it.
Well, it's
Elizabeth.
not gonna settle, okay? We're just gonna litigate it. That's what my council recommends.
So you're basically saying it's the 30,000 or nothing? We weren't involved in
Well,
that 30,000 discussion.
Well, that was
Okay, well, thank
the
you.
sort of negotiations between,
Next item.
good faith negotiations between Mrs. Dowdell and my attorney, assessing all the risk of, along with the outside counsel, Roberts Reynolds Law Firm, who's going to be doing the appellate work. It's going to cost the town probably $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. And the town, in Mrs. Carroll's opinion, could lose those issues. There's due process issues, which I don't think that you're aware of regarding the giving of notices and other issues.
So what I'm hearing, it makes no sense for this commission to make a motion on the 100,000 figure because you decide.
Well, you could lose the appeal and have.
He just said no.
All
Three
right.
times.
So now we'll make a motion to deny.
What I'm saying is.
Somebody make a motion.
I make a motion to deny the request for mitigation of the liens on 23 Coconut Lane.
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Cooks. All right. Town hall closure for Christmas and New Year's Eve. When?
Prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, Clerk Avery received information related to holiday closures that other communities in Palm Beach County have. The information shows that many communities provide additional paid holiday time around Christmas beyond just the actual day. This has been a common practice in other communities where I have worked as well. I'd like the commission to consider permitting the closure of Town Hall on Christmas Eve and to allow the early closure of Town Hall on New Year's Eve at noon. For many of these holidays are spent with family, and for those that have the additional time, it is much appreciated. If you would not permit the full closure on Christmas Eve and early closure on New Year's Eve, would you please at least allow considering an early closure on Christmas Eve? I believe there is a spreadsheet provided of what other communities in Palm Beach County do in terms of closing early before Thanksgiving, giving Thanksgiving Day and the day after off, which we already do, and what the other communities do in terms of permitting Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off, or closing early, or taking time off the day after.
Currently, you already have the day off, right?
We get Christmas Day off,
And the day after Christmas.
only Christmas Day. The only day, we get Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving off, but for Christmas, we only get Christmas Day.
Half day for Christmas Eve is my vote.
Yeah.
I like that.
So make it synonymous with New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
So are you then also saying half day on Christmas Eve and a half day on New Year's Eve?
I think that's what you already have, right?
No, we don't have anything.
Yeah,
else for
half day
New
on
Year's
both
Eve.
those eves.
Okay.
And then your day off on Christmas Eve. I think that's more than fair in the town.
I agree.
Any comment?
Yep.
So if people are gonna work through that time, what, will they get time and a half or?
No,
Just
town
close
offices will be closed as holiday at noon on both days.
I'm sorry, so I couldn't hear. Did you say you were proposing close at noon on both those days?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
What do we need? May I make a motion that we close town hall at noon on Christmas Eve? So the staff has the second half of Christmas Eve off and all Christmas Day.
And New Year's Eve.
And New Year's Eve, the same condition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment? Carol?
Just something to, Carol Vessler, 5906 Old Ocean. Just something to think about, and maybe Lynn can implement this. I agree with your proposals, but as an employer, I ran into difficulty with people taking the entire day off and then being paid for the half day that they also weren't there. So we had kind of rules in our organization that you had to show up for the half day. You couldn't take the whole day off. You know, that's up to Lynn and how she wants to work it, but there are abuses that can happen.
They have the same exact policy.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if somebody came to you and said, I want to take the day off as a vacation day, and he had the days, you'd say, sure.
Yeah, but see, some people do that as a thing, so they get 3 days.
Right.
Oh, the day after too.
Yeah. Anyway,
Doesn't matter.
all right, back to the commission. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All righty, where are we at here now? Authorize additional fund, no, that's it. So discussion of AV requirements for updating commission chambers, that's the right one?
Where are we?
No, we're at
No.
the,
Should be at
consider vacation
seven-
allotment
seven.
change.
Oh, considering vacation allotment, I thought we just did it. Oh, okay, this is vacation. All right, Lynn?
As part of the new PBA contract, the commission adopted
What
a
did I
new
do?
vacation accrual schedule for employees of the union. This has been a great benefit for these employees, and past practice of the commission has been to extend to non-union employees benefits that have been awarded to union benefits when benefits of this matter are negotiated. Additionally, the new accrual schedule creates a disparity within the police department as employees not covered by the contract are not eligible for the same accrual schedule. This includes the positions of lieutenant, chief, dispatcher, and dispatch manager. This disparity may discourage individuals from considering promotion within the department, as filling the remaining lieutenant's position would lead to a reduction in their vacation accrual. As for other employees in the department to be considered additionally we are currently awaiting a vote by the union employees regarding which organization will continue to represent the patrol officers and sergeants. This election could lead to either working with an organization that may permit an expansion of the current membership or lead other employees who are not currently represented by a bargaining unit from entertaining the idea of organizing as a new bargaining unit. One of the groups that is being considered in the upcoming union election is the FOP, and they do allow members of dispatch to join their union. So if it would go that way, all of a sudden you would have your dispatchers in there, and then your chief and your lieutenants would be left out with lower vacations and lower accruals than many of the employees that they hire and have less seniority than them. The difference is shown, and I did make a typo, it's the hours per pay period, not hours per month. Currently, for 0 to 5 years, you accrue 3.3 hours for every pay period for a total of 86 hours annually. The new 0 to 5 year accrual under the police contract is 4.62 hours for a total of 120 hours per pay period per annual. 4.84 hours is the current for 6 to 10 years, which is 126 hours annually. The new police contract is 6.92 hours, which is 180 hours annually. We added a section for the new police contract of 11 to 15 years with a 6.38 accrual, which is 166 hours under the new schedule. That tenure would have 9.23 hours pay period for 240 hours annually. And from 16 years and older, or 16 years and higher tenure, currently you would get 6.38, the same as the 11 to 15th, but under the new contract, you would now get 11.54, or a total of 300 hours per annually. My staff recommendation, and in talking with Chief McClure, adopting this for all employees, even those not represented by the bargaining unit, we really recommend that be done. I think it will show consistency and stability across the organization. And it will also vastly simplify calculating vacation accruals within the payroll system and the accounting system, to have just one set of accruals for all employees. And I can let Chief McClure, I know he has some input on this as well.
Well, I totally agree. If I have a sergeant who is under the contract gaining more time than what a lieutenant, why would you want to get promoted and have a lesser benefit package, or a new employee coming in that has a better benefit package than a tenured employee? We're just asking for those positions to have the same as what the officers got in their contract, just for vacation accrual.
So
So how many people?
It's myself, lieutenant, and then when there's another lieutenant promoted, and then the dispatch manager and dispatchers, all the non-bargaining.
So those are the only employees we're talking about?
5 employees.
No, we would
No.
also be talking about the town hall employees.
Right, but
maybe.
once again, we're, I guess conflating is everybody's favorite word. We have a police problem and a dispatch problem. We don't have a staff problem, but we're discussing something to put it across the entire mechanism, when it sounds like it's
Lynn,
a police problem.
did you guys get a copy of the thing that I sent?
Yes, everybody has the section on the chat PT.
Is it in the blue folder?
So that was what I was, I'm in San Francisco, but I was concerned because we were given this recommendation that there wasn't any analysis of, I think we have 3 categories of people. We have collectively bargained police officers, we have police officers and dispatchers, and then we have regular town hall employees. Those are 3 different categories, and I don't know why we would feel in any way that we should give everybody the same vacation. I would be fine with going with the police officers and dispatchers that are not collectively bargained, and giving them either the same thing or something similar to what the police got. But I believe that the regular town hall staff vacation schedule is competitive, as it is right now. So I absolutely would not go along with the recommendation.
I would like to point out in the number 3 in the document that Commissioner Ayala brought in, that it is important to maintain parity across staff, align non-police staff vacation schedules with similar benchmarks, keeping fairness in mind to avoid potential morale problems.
Yeah, but once again,
If we let the police go home at 3 o'clock every day, and if we gave them every weekend off, then I would say that you'd have parity, but they're not gonna get to do that. They have to work demanding schedules, shifts, and they don't get to go home at 3 every day, and they don't get every weekend off. So it's just not, it's apples and oranges.
We've had that conversation before.
I beg to differ that it's apples and oranges. Staff does not go home at 3 every day. We close the door at 3, but staff is here till 4 o'clock or later. We put in our 8 hours, just as admin staff in the police department put in their 40-hour work week. Town hall employees put in a 40-hour work week. We do have weekend and nights. A case in point, the clerk and I are both here late into the evening on meeting days.
Can you remind me, did Evergreen, when they did their study,
They did not look into the vacation.
that was never part of their
That was
task?
never part of the process.
Evergreen, when they did the analysis, said that they didn't feel like we were at a competitive disadvantage from a hiring perspective.
Of course.
On their total compensation package.
For salaries, yes, but that was prior to your negotiated union contract.
I hate to be a Scrooge, but I've been out of the workforce for a number of years, but you start with 2 weeks vacation? I mean, that sounds pretty good.
Well, right now, we got, the new one will be 15 days.
Right.
And then 22 and a half days, and
So
30 days.
So you start with 15
Well,
days under the
3
new
weeks,
schedule.
4.5 weeks, 6 weeks,
15.
7.5
Yeah.
weeks for people who've been here for
Right.
more than 15 years.
Quick question, personal absence leave, that's not included with the vacation, right?
We do not have personal absence leave. We
So
have
what's-
sick leave.
What sort of article plan
It's
leave?
called personal absence / sick leave.
Where'd this come from?
That comes directly out of the union contract.
Okay.
So what's the sick leave for the staff?
Sick leave for the staff is the same as it is for the police department.
Already?
Same accruals, yes.
All right, there you go. Okay.
And how much is that? I mean, the days now? Because this one here says personal absence leave is during a 369 pay period till 96 hours. That's 12 days right there.
And then
That's not the
disability.
We'll start out earning per 3.3 currently, but you start out at 4.6 every pay period until you get to that.
Why do they make it so difficult on the hour thing and
I
day?
know.
I can just
You
say.
have to sit here with the
I
calculator.
did the days.
Yeah.
But Steve, didn't you ask when this came up
Yes.
before, you asked for
I
some
asked-
kind of analysis as to
How many days
how
a
is this going to
year?
affect us based on, who's been here more than 16 years? How many weeks are we talking about? Like, what's the cost associated with that?
So here's what I would suggest. Why don't we go forward with the police and the dispatch onto this chart? And if Lynn wants to bring the staff back at a separate meeting, she's welcome to.
With some more analysis.
That makes it clear why we would do it.
I missed you, Anna, what?
He wants a competitive analysis on why we should do it. I can
Okay.
put together a competitive
For non-police,
analysis.
yeah, for non-police.
I really hope you're prepared for the potential that our employees will seek employment elsewhere.
I gotta tell you, with the presentation at this meeting of the material, with half it here, half it over there, the numbers incorrect, and not having the material in front of us until, what, 5 minutes of 6? Lynn, I wouldn't get on my high horse on this. Okay, I make a motion to authorize adoption of the updated vacation accrual schedule for the police, the non-bargain police and the non-bargain dispatchers, as in the PBA agreement for all employees.
I second.
The motion is second. Public comment? Not much you guys left in the public. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And Lynn, you're going to bring that back to us next meeting?
Probably not.
Is there any reason?
It will take longer than the holiday time to bring it back for the January meeting.
Okay, but we did, I think Steve asked for more detail on that.
Yes, but I'm saying I won't have it ready for the January meeting.
Okay. All right, moving on here, let's go to the discussion of the AV requirements for updating commission chambers. Am I in the right one there? Yeah. Lynn, is this you?
No, this was a request by Commissioner Ayala.
Well, it was only a
Don't say
request by
that.
me because we had it in the budget, and I asked when it was gonna get done. And it wasn't getting done, so I asked it to be put on the agenda. And you said, I think in a note that you put along with the agenda that you wanted us to talk about the requirements or whatever, so I sent around a note, I think you guys have that.
Yep.
That's the considerations, if Kelly needs to put it together in an RFP. So that gives her all the considerations, so hopefully she'll be able to go out for an RFP fairly soon on that.
Could I make a suggestion too? Having attended recently a meeting in Gulfstream, they had an ad hoc committee presenting to their planning and zoning. They have one camera mounted over the audience on the dais, and they have the meeting on a screen via team meetings, and it's participatory. So it seems pretty straightforward. We use team meetings here in town hall.
So you're saying that somebody,
And maybe ask Renee at Gulfstream how that works, who did it, what it costs.
And we already have the, WebEx that we use for the audio that can be upgraded to include the video once you have the camera and all of those connections involved.
And we've already got the mics, so it seems to me like it should be well less than 30,000 to do it. So we just need to get somebody in to go do it.
What's the limit on RFPs?
I'm not sure what your purchasing manual says.
Oh, it's not a state law?
It is not.
Oh, wow. Did you know that?
no.
So what is our limit before we have the RFP?
RFP, I believe, is 25,000.
So your question, Anna, we could spend 25 without going through the bureaucracy.
There are things in this that we already have, such as the, what is it? The video conferencing system. We have some of the mics, we've got the display monitors here. So there are things in this that could be removed to get the RFP below 30,000.
All right, so I'm fully aware of what we're trying to do here. Are we trying to have the public be able to participate in the meetings without them actually being here?
I believe it is to
No,
allow the commissioners
just the
to be able
commissioners.
to participate without being here.
But the public can watch, so,
Are you, I gotta dress better?
yeah, I will, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Gonna wear a suit? All right, what's the pleasure of the commission here? What do you want to do?
Well, we already approved it in our budget, Mr. Mayor. I'm just asking that they go do it.
Okay. Now, what is the rule, Elizabeth, regarding voting via Zoom?
That's a good one.
Generally speaking, so long as you have a physical quorum present, you can have commissioners attend, and depending on your rules of procedure, attend and vote remotely. You all do that now. You know, we're doing that tonight.
I think
So
Christie told us that the Attorney General of Florida changed it within the last several months.
Yes, so as long as it's really based on the Attorney General's opinions, you have to have a physical quorum present. So as long as 3 of you are here, 2 of you could appear remotely.
And vote.
But we can still vote if we're remote.
And that's in your rules of procedure, so yes.
Okay. All right, so when do you want to proceed? When can you,
We will put together an RFP, have Christie review it for legalities and get it out.
all right, and when should we expect that?
Early January.
Perfect. Is that good for everybody?
Mhm.
All right. Discussion regarding code enforcement, Commissioner Cassidy.
Okay.
Thank you, Ainer.
I know that Mike from Hybrid has recently appointed somebody as the code enforcement. Steve, I met him last week.
Did you?
Which is great. He was here. But we had, because several meetings ago, we had kind of given direction, the commission had discussed it, that Hybrid should be doing code enforcement. And then we got an email from Lynn seeking clarification for preference of code enforcement, which we had already determined that Hybrid was in charge, but there had been and have been issues with town employees taking it upon themselves to do code enforcement. And I think just wanted to publicly make the reminder that the town employees shouldn't be doing that.
There are members of the police department that are certified in code enforcement.
I know,
Are you asking?
Sir Pylan, no, I'm saying other town employees that are going beyond their
Staff.
job descriptions, which we haven't seen the job descriptions yet because that's still forthcoming from Evergreen. But
So you're okay with the police department officers coordinating it with Mike?
yes,
There are certain things under code enforcement we do every day, like dogs on the beach, that's under code enforcement. Parking is under code enforcement. It was just, the building stuff that the officers weren't very versed on, or going to somebody's house to tell them that their roof was dirty or their lawn was too long, with a uniformed police officer knocking on their door. But we still, if something's obvious, we'll take notice and enforce.
Okay, well, I think the one thing we do not want to have is people going out and looking for something for code enforcement. That's
Right.
really what I don't want to see Ocean Ridge turn into.
the gotcha perception.
Yeah, it's not our town to do that. Now, if somebody leaves their garbage cans over and over and over again, that's something the police department should report. Hey, put a little note on it, you gotta take your garbage can. Or somebody's walking their dog without a leash, or there's a guy, the guy was here, basically his door's wide open, or he's not mowing his lawn, the lawn's a foot high. Well, Billy could say something, or, any of the town staff would say, hey, I noticed that grass is a little high, to either the town manager or the code enforcement, and then they can go out and take a look at it. But I just want to make sure that we are solid, that we are not driving around looking for something to code enforce. Because that would put a knife right in the heart of this town. Right? Because it's something that we never have done. Well, we did do it in kind of a dark time here in Ocean Ridge, but then we've stopped. And you just don't want to create that kind of drama. Now, something egregious, yes, you're going to do code enforcement. It's something small, that's so we have and that's why we want to keep them part-time. I don't need a full-time code enforcement guy. Part-time guy.
We put a cash payment.
We did.
40,000 or
Yeah,
35.
35,000. So that's the only reason that's one thing that I'm really passionate about, is that we're not going out looking for behind every blade of grass, or some guy's got a little mold in the corner of his roof. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, what else you got?
Well, I think, do you want me to keep going? Oh, right.
Then you want to go
do it
over
now.
your
Yeah.
P?
Okay, so two things. One, fire contract, keep asking. we are supposed to have gotten a letter in September telling us what the increase is, because the increase is to be this year the lesser of, and it starts October 1, the lesser, or the greater of 4% or CPI. And in the budget went 6% for CPI, but that is not what CPI was per the metric that the contract calls for. I have all that information here. So the difference is we budgeted for a number that should be $28,500 less, in my estimation, because of the using CPI, not 6%.
And the important thing is that we're not sending checks out the door with a 6% increase.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Have we seen a bill? What was last year? Can't find the letter from last year. So
We've had
that's
2 months now, October and November.
For
which
FY
required the
'25,
increase.
we have not received our invoice from the letter telling us how much it was going to be or the first invoice. The last invoice we have from the city of Boynton is from March of '24. It was for the second installment on the contract of $711,740.42. So the total for last year on that was $1,423,480.84.
Right. And that was, I believe, CPI increase at the time was halfway between 6.9 and 9%. And using the same metric here, for this year, it should be between 3.5% and 4.5%, or 4%, not 6%. So I've just been asking, can we get some answers from Boynton?
And I have been asking, I've asked their manager, I've asked their finance director, I asked their fire marshal, I've asked their fire chief. I called finance. They have not given us an invoice, they have not given us a letter.
Well, maybe they're doing it on gratis, or, you know, we get a certain, we get a BOGO or something.
Yeah, that would be nice, but.
Buy 6 months, get 6 months free.
But it is something, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we need to get a fire contract.
Just wanted an answer, a number. The other issue I wanted to mention is that last week, Lynn and I had a meeting with a couple of guys from the Palm Beach County Environmental Enhancement and Restoration Department. We're working with them in the Parks Department on utilizing our grant monies for, we have to have a park element, and they are more than happy to accommodate what we're gonna do, the kayak trail or whatever help we need from them.
For the property that we got?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So then they wanted to fill us in on a couple of things. The most, the one that's coming up right away is every 8 years, they do a maintenance dredging on the intercoastal side of Inlet Park. But it was last done in 2013, so they're overdue. And they have what they call, there is an inlet sand trap there, and I guess it impedes, boats getting by. Not quite sure, but.
On the inside?
Yep, between Island Drive, kind of where the park cuts in like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they are going to be doing a dredging project between February and April of '25. It should take no more than the 3 months. They're hoping it's going to be less than that. They're going to be moving about 70,000 cubic yards from that area via a dredge pipe that goes under A1A. They are going to run an HDP pipe down the beach up against the toe of the dune from Inlet Park down to Hammock Park. And then there's going to be a bulldozer there dealing with the discharge. So
That's quite a distance.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And so to give you some context, the Army Corps beach replenishment project in 2020, that moved 500,000 cubic yards. So this is 70,000. So less intrusive, but it's going to be kind of a pain.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of all that, though. I mean, because all the
Who knows?
snorkeling and everything
weren't-
else.
yeah.
Who knows what's going to be in that water?
They weren't asking, they were telling.
us, yeah.
Mhm.
And they are looking to fill in. We've had complaints from residents and concerns from the police department that the area along Hammock Park after Milton has been substantially damaged and lost most of their beachfront. And that is why they're bringing the sand all the way that far down, is to replace that beach sand.
Okay.
That's
Do we have
it.
any choice in the matter?
No, it wasn't really they answered questions, but it wasn't a problem-solving meeting.
All righty. Commissioner Ayala, do you have a discussion with you?
Okay, I'll make this quick because everybody's probably running out of patience. Before the November meeting, I had asked Lynn to put together what our surplus or what our cash reserves were. And she didn't have an opportunity to do that. So at the last meeting, I asked that it be put on this agenda. Lynn provided, as you would have all received, a copy of the summary of how our cash reserves have progressed since 2021. And just so that in case you guys didn't have a chance to review it, or you have to do a little bit of math with the stuff that she sent us out. But in 2021, our surplus was 7.52 million. In 2022, it was 7.14 million. In 2023, it was 9.1 million. And in 2024, it's 9.5 million. So our surplus has actually grown by $2 million since 2022. And I thought it would be good for us to start to have a thoughtful conversation about, first of all, did you even know that our surplus went up by $2 million? I don't think we planned on doing it. I haven't been part of that conversation, but we plan to increase our surplus. But I think we need to start to have a conversation about how big should our surplus be. I sent you guys I think I sent you around a little analysis that says, look, FEMA thinks you should have 25% of your budget for disaster, and most best practices would say you should have another 25% for emergency reserve fund. So for an $11 million budget, that would be about a $5.5 million surplus for our town. So we have about $4 million more than that. Now, maybe there are reasons why we should have more, or maybe there aren't, but it makes me feel like we've got maybe $4 million that we could begin to spend on water pipes in addition to the 1.25 that we budgeted for this year, or other infrastructure projects that we need. Now, by the way, that's a discussion. This should be the start of a discussion. I'm not making any recommendations or anything like that. I just thought it was good to start the dialogue. I didn't know that our surplus had grown. I didn't know what it was or how it got there. So I just wanted us to start that process.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea. We can start doing that process maybe January, February, and have a discussion before you get into the budget.
As we start heading into budget,
Okay. Thank you. All right, town manager report.
We are wrapping up. We're wrapping up the year. This week, next week are going to be very hectic. As you may be aware, we began the implementation process for the new permitting software today with the first round of training. We're in training on that through Thursday this week. All of our systems will go down on the morning of the 11th, Thursday. So 8 o'clock Monday morning or Thursday morning, everything, our financial management software, our BP software will be down. We will be able to do lookups, but we cannot process new permits, process any new information, receipts, anything like that, as they will be converting all of the data from the final extraction, which comes out on Wednesday, and integrating it fully into the financial management software. They will then be on site again next week, and we hope to have the live sites active and accessible by 9:30 on Monday morning, at which point we will then start training with all the information and permits, requests, everything like that came in at the end of this week. We will use that to train us to put things into the new system, find things in the new system, train through Thursday of next week, and then off for 2 weeks, and they will be back the first full week in January for advanced training and catch up for anybody that has not had an opportunity to learn the software. We are requesting that they put together a handout for contractors, permit runners, everything like that, because at the end of 3 months, we would like to be absolutely 100% digital, with the only things that we are taking in not electronically submitted would be owner builder applications.
Okay, that sounds like a great start.
That's a great start. And then also next week, we are wrapping up the website redesign project, and that will launch on Friday the 20th, which is also the same day that we will be switching over to the new .gov domain, which will be just oceanridge.gov. Do not worry, your current email addresses will still work. Anything that's sent to it or from it will continue to work, but moving forward, anything you send out will come from the .gov address, and the website's domain will be the .gov, but the old address will automatically redirect to the new domain.
Is there a time limit on that?
We can do that for up to 18 months. So it gives us more than adequate time to get all of our vendors, all of our contacts, everything like that caught up with the new domain.
So are we gonna eventually have emails that go like scars@oceanridge.gov?
Yes,
Okay, and the other email will be forwarded to the same address.
correct.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Lynn, with the permitting, the new permitting software, is the whole idea with that it'll help us do quicker turnaround on permit processing and all that?
It will do that. It will not only do that, but the records and information will now be available through the BSNA online portal. So the public will not need to call in to check inspection status. They can go online and check their own statuses. They can submit everything online. If anybody's got a question, anything like that, they'll even be able to pay for their permits through the online system.
So we're moving into the 21st century now.
Say they want to get a permit, do we tell them how long to expect it to take for approval?
Normally, depending on how busy you are, we have gotten our permit approval process down to, I believe, less than a week, depending upon how complex the permit is. What this will do is also increase that efficiency, because the reviews for permits will go out simultaneously to the different required reviewers, so that they can begin reviewing immediately once the permit's been accepted.
That sounds great.
Sounds great. Is that it?
That's it.
Any questions for Lynn? All right. So Elizabeth, thank you for coming, and thank you for bringing up to speed on the items that we discussed. It's
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
that's
that
cool.
was really, that was
Except the
impressive.
police, the
Been my
police
pleasure
need
to
to
be
give a
here.
report, or are you good?
I have no report.
I know my report is in your packet.
Good.
If you have any questions, we hired the two frozen positions that you want frozen. We hired two new police officers. They just started over the last 2 weeks. Theft and burglaries are consistently going down. Fraud is on the rise, as everybody's aware. We are going to host a class here. I've been to Briney, we're going to a homeowners association next month to get the word out about the fraud, different types. We put out civic ready alerts. I've talked about it here before, but the moral story, nobody's here now. Nobody in their right mind, they're not gonna ask you to pay them in Bitcoin, gold, or cash.
How about gift cards?
No.
And gift cards, well, I would get into that. The mayor, everybody,
Gift card.
the residents received a fake email from the mayor asking for him to provide American Express gift cards and Amazon cards, to take a picture of them, scratch them off, and send them back to the person in his name. That's the latest one we've seen. We just had a lady turn over $25,000 in cash to an individual that came through for internet, through cyber or internet security. And she handed over in a Tupperware bowl $25,000 cash to a person who walked up to her gate through private security cameras and the LPR system. We did get a suspect, and we have her we did get her $25,000 back. It's an active investigation.
And that's
Cash.
That's it. That's her cash.
That's your cash right there.
Wow.
So she has her money back, thank God, because we were able to get a suspect, and we have search warrants out, and it's an active investigation. So we have the suspect return that.
She have it in her freezer, so it's cold cash?
No, I can't. It's an active investigation.
In the Tupperware.
Yeah, I don't know. But the scams are just on the rise. please, if you don't recognize the email or somebody, you don't recognize the number, hang up, don't answer. You're not gonna be in trouble. We had the sextortion cases where they send you a picture of your house in an email saying they installed a camera on your personal computer and they have you doing things that you don't want your friends seeing, and they threaten to send it out to your friends. It's just all kinds of, every day there's a new one. The boat on the beach was removed in the 6700 block. We were on a wait list with the Cito company. They did remove it. It's gone from the beach.
All right.
And we are going to host another CPR class. Do you remember the date?
The 22nd of January.
January 22nd, Officer Pylon and Lucy are going to host another CPR class for the residents. Same like we did last year. And
It was crowded last year.
yeah, it was a good turnout. Yeah, we did one in Bryan too. We'll do another one in Bryan. That's basically it. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday.
All right. Well, thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? All right. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Yes, Kelly.
We need to set a date for the special meeting.
For those ordinances that have to be approved by the 20th,
0304.
Oh, yeah.
What was the deadline, Lynn?
the 20th of December.
Well, there ain't very many choices here.
Yeah.
So we got
We got this week and next week.
Monday, the 16th?
Monday, the 16th.
I have to advertise at least 10 days in advance, so we can do the 19th.
Always something with you.
No, that leaves us only one day.
That's the day.
And I can't do the 19th, I mean,
Well, you don't have to be here anymore.
Well, I thought the
You can
rules,
remote.
the 10 days, I thought it was different now because you can do it online. That's what Lynn said last time. To advertise a meeting. 'Cause
That's for the
remember?
budget.
Right, so what's the difference in budget and a special meeting?
You still have requirements of legally putting it in the paper,
Mhm.
advertising. What changed with putting it on a website was that I don't have to give it to 3 to 4 day leeway with the paper.
All right, so how do we get around this?
Can we do it the morning of the 19th?
If you have to go someplace,
My
Just
daughter's
go.
arriving.
you can do remote. We only need 3 of us here for this, right?
Right. I don't even know what I'm doing on the 19th.
I don't know. According to this, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working. All right, so you want to do the 19th
Yeah,
morning?
Can we do morning?
Yeah.
sure.
Don't go crazy.
I know.
No.
It's gotta be.
The crack of noon.
10 o'clock.
You can roll right out of bed right
All
in
right.
here.
What time are you saying on that?
10 a.m. 10 a.m.
I have a board meeting until 10.
Well, you can do it on the phone.
So 10:30.
Although I'm gonna be in an actual meeting until 10.
Who's got to be here on the 19th? Dave,
I'll be here.
Jeff?
I'll be here and you'll be
Steve.
here.
I'll be here, but I'm picking my daughter up who's coming.
So you can do it on the phone in the car, though.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd still prefer the morning because better,
I'd say, should we leave it in the 10?
or leave it,
Yeah.
or put it for 11 and Ainer can get here.
Okay, so 11 o'clock? You send a notice out, Kelly? 11 o'clock on the 19th. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and happy holidays.
Yep,
And congratulations, Steve.
Yes, that's
Oh,
right. I
yeah.
forgot all about that.
that's right.
Unopposed.
I got one gift.
You saved the town a bunch of money too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no election. So thank you. Meeting adjourned for the night. We'll see you next month.
Okay, bye.
We're gonna read-